Welcome to Future Now. Future Now is a podcast and a platform designed to have an open conversation with, across the industry and across the market with thought leaders and influencers that are shaping our future by, decisions and by steps that they're taking today. So excited to be launching season 2 and having my first guest on Future Now, Adel Alfalasi. Adel is a recognized leader in the UAE. He is the UAE CEO and a partner at Oliver Wyman, the leading strategy and management consulting firm. Adel has over 2 decades of experience, both in the public sector and also in the private sector in consulting. Adel, welcome to Future Now. Excited to have this conversation with you today.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you, Ihsan.
Thank you, Adel. Adel, my first question to you is, first of all, maybe tell us a bit more about yourself, what you do at Oliver Wyman, and then we'll get into a bit more of the questions.
Thank you, Ihsan. I mean, it's been more than 2 decades then I've graduated and moved from different, between private and public sector. The last 7 years in consulting has been exciting. Being able to work with the same environment, with the same people, but you leveraging a multinational consulting, strategy management consulting powerhouse to serve the public sector, serve the banking, serve the clients that I worked with in the past. So this has been the I would say high on the learning side, but also high on the impact side. As Oliver Wyman, we work with the leading government entities. We work with the center of government. We work on economic and social development plans. We work on digital transformation. We work on restructuring and turnaround. We work with also the sovereign wealth funds, with the banks, with the telcos, with the private companies. We as Oliver Wyman, we have an office. We have 2 offices here in the UAE, but we cover all of the Middle East out of the Dubai office. We have about 67 different nationalities, even only here in the region. So we are truly multinational. The work we've been doing has been largely focusing on the impact that we need to deliver to our clients. We are blessed being here in the region. There is no limit to the ambition. There is clear vision on what we need to deliver, and things have been happening at a very fast pace. And being part of this journey here in the region, and also becoming a facilitator of many of those transactions when it comes to acquisitions, but also those transformations. So we had the front row seat to some of this, but in many of those transformations, we're actually backstage working with our clients and making things happen.
Fantastic. That's great. Tell me a bit more. I mean, it's unique to see someone who's done both sides. I mean, you've done a long career in the public sector. I know you've done multiple leadership roles, including being at the Prime Minister's office and other roles, and then transitioning to a consulting, global consulting powerhouse and player. Any main insights on seeing it from both sides on that transition?
I recall one of the interviews I had long time ago when said, Adel, how does it feel to be on the other side of the table? And my immediate answer was, I'm on the same side of the table, but wearing a different hat. So I'm doing the same. I'm still, I don't see myself like it's us versus them or what it's more of what we can do together. It's how we can deliver the vision of the leadership of this country and how we can make things work. In terms of insights, I think when you are within the boundaries of an organization, you are within the limits of that organization's mandate.
Yep.
The moment you move to consulting, you can serve multiple clients at the same time. You are not limited to the boundaries of those of your clients, but actually your own. And our business model allows us to serve multiple clients at the same time, which means the impact I am facilitating to deliver in this country actually have increased significantly since I moved to consulting.
Yeah. I really love that, and I personally relate to it, and I think maybe people that work and have lived in the UAE for a long time relate to it, and maybe we take it for granted, but it's not the same everywhere. Like I spent 20 years of my career in big tech, and I always had this connection to trying to meet the country's ambition, even when I was in private sector, and I think that ambition pulls us all forward, right? And it's exciting to be operating in a country that really leads in many ways, leads the private sector in its ambition, in its action, in its execution. So I fully relate to that, and I think it's a great position to be in. Now, I know management consulting, like many industries, depends on people and talent. Probably more so because you're heavily dependent on what your people produce. That's what you sell. That's what you offer. Now, in the context of AI, that is really impacting every industry, particularly over the past 18 months to 2 years, with all the hype that we've seen, and we'll get a bit more into this. How did you see AI in particular impacting your industry, like the consulting industry?
To be honest, there's so many jokes that AI is going to kill consulting. It's like saying the calculator is going to kill the work of the accountant. In my view, we in consulting were the very first adopters of when it comes to advanced analytics, even before the current hype of AI. We leverage technology wherever we can. And I see the impact of AI on our industry is very positive and actually helps taking the industry to the next level of delivery and impact. On one side, we leverage the AI tools on how we can do our work better as consultant. At the same time, we also use AI to help embedding AI in some of the solutions or the delivery models that we provide to our clients. So AI is becoming an integral part of everything we're doing. Let me give you an example. We have our own internal knowledge platform. Historically, everything that we want to get out of the knowledge platform, we go from basic to a complex search and try to retrieve those documents and try to find something that we need or require for existing projects. However, now with the current AI tool that we have, we actually, with simple prompt, the AI engine will go grab all of the relevant information and provide it to me in a way that is structured and easy to consume, ready to consume. So this is one of the examples that we do. There are other examples when it comes to actual production. The other things like how we can use that for our own data analytics. We get lots of data from any engagement when we work with our clients. Historically, we had to do it. There was lots of human work, I would say, that is involved. Now, a big part of this is done by AI, whether it's data cleansing, structuring the data, analyzing unstructured data in order to go as like all of the prep work before the analysis takes place. This is currently be done by AI. So AI is actually helping our consultants becoming more productive, delivering the same high quality level of work, but in a shorter period of time.
Okay. Fully relevant in my own experience. And then, personally, I believe AI should help, enhance and accelerate what we do as humans, whether it's at work, in our personal lives, education. That's my own personal, belief in technology in general, like having spent majority of my career. So it's great to hear that you had a similar experience. But maybe double clicking a bit on consulting, like how do you differentiate now a bit more with your clients? Because I know you compete. I know there's a lot of consulting firms out there. I know you're heavy on content as well, but just nature of the industry, like whether you provide management consulting or strategy advice, or also helping your clients navigate through this really complex topic, right? Any insights?
So what I've noticed, Ihsan, that our clients have different level of awareness of what AI can offer. Some of them are very well versed, and some of them have, thanks to the different Gen AI tools, have managed to test what the tools can offer, but they don't get, okay, how will this actually fit within my industry or within my organization? So what we do help them through different, I would say, through a spectrum of offering through their maturity and awareness levels.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just, providing a basic understanding of what are the different tools and potentially use cases, helping with their organizations. Our knowledge of the organization's challenges help us coming up with the right tool. So I don't like to use AI as a hammer looking for a nail, but rather, okay, what's the problem you have?
Yep.
And let's see if AI has something that can help you with that problem. So not forcing AI into anything. And then you have the clients on the other side of the spectrum where you have like the right, infrastructure in terms of, data lakes and hardware, and they are moving, they have their own, I would say, agile squads and teams. They have their own in-house development teams. And then you also, okay, how you can take that and turbocharge it into something that, you take the solutions to this. And here, for example, we help banks on how to train their models or even develop the co-develop models with their team, and to help them with, cross-selling of products, growth of customer base. So again, it's quite a spectrum, and depends on the client's maturity and level of awareness and understanding of what AI can offer. That's how we help them. I always say that there's so many tools when it comes to advanced analytics.
Yes.
that helps the client, putting like a simple framing. It's like, okay, there's the predictive analytics. Like, okay, no, there's the descriptive analytics, which is like, okay, I have this data, and this huge amount of data, I want to make sense of out of it, which is and then there is the predictive analytics. Like, okay, I'm having this, I need to see what are the different scenarios that we can get out of the data we have. And then there's prescriptive analytics,
Yes.
which is help prescribing to the decision maker what are the different decisions that you can take and the impact of those.
Yeah.
So having this sort of framing at least helps, okay, if I'm deploying a tool, is it towards better understanding or better forecasting or better decision making?
Yep.
But also if you take beyond this, also like, what can help me with better engagement with my stakeholders,
Yep.
whether they are internal, your own employees and your board, or external as your clients and
Yep.
perhaps public sector.
Yeah. No, look, I mean, reflecting on your answer, I think, again, from where I sat for a long time in big tech, where big tech, I think, has the tendency to sometimes overhype technology trends, and we're pretty good at that in in big tech. And I love what you said. I think it's not about AI for AI's sake. It's what can AI help me do as an organization? What can it help me achieve? What are my real business problems? What is the context that is uniquely mine as an organization? And it's surprising. I mean, despite all the hype over the past period, you go and engage with clients, as you said, and there's still a lot of ambiguity in terms of, okay, what is AI? How do I deploy it? How do I start with the right mindset? And I was reading something the other day that what we typically see is AI deployed for, just efficiency, productivity. Like that's what you typically see as a first use case, right? How can I help my employees discover data or information faster, collaborate better? And then as you move up the chain, it starts asking the question, okay, how do I build AI that is unique to my organization, that solves my own business problems, but that also helps me strategically, whether it's to offer better products and services, to better compete. Where do you see clients today on the journey? Like when you go and engage with clients, how do you see the maturity and the readiness for them to have this conversation?
There is a research that we have done with all over Wyman Forum, and we found that the UAE is one of the countries that has the highest adoption rate. If we look at the UAE market here compared to other markets, they are not just open to exploring what AI has to offer, but they are ready and willing to even invest, take risk, and make mistakes. So we are here in this country, we're blessed with this attitude, where you find decision makers like, there is a use case, done perhaps few places or sometimes like totally novel. I recall we done this project in the region with using AI and data analytics for food security. I did not come across a tool that actually has done this at a national level. And the decision makers, we want to build that tool. And they had faith, and we work with them and build that tool with them. So I would say that here in the region, the ability and the willingness to experiment and try things out, and I would say go towards the cutting edge of what AI has to offer. This is something that we're blessed with.
Yeah, and building on that, I don't know. I think people that are close to what's happening understand that. I think the level of ambition is beyond, I think, what people may expect. I think the country sees this as the next economic frontier. I think, to your point, the ambition is not just to be a participant in AI, but to also be a leader in AI, not just in using AI, but also in building local, national AI companies, talent, products. So I think it pulls everybody along the journey.
Absolutely.
What are some of the, maybe switching gears on the UAE agenda? And I know you spent a lot of time in the public sector. Your thoughts specifically?
We are the first country to have a minister for AI. We have a public AI strategy nationwide. Recently, we mandated all of the public institutions to have a chief AI officer. So the amount of investment that's going by the sovereign wealth funds and the different sectors, including government sectors, into AI is massive. We have an Mohammed bin Zayed AI University. So the amount of going into investment, the amount going into actually the development of technology, the amount going into development of talent, having the right strategy and policies, and at the same time, really pushing or firing on all cylinders to make sure that AI adoption is happening across. So I would say the UAE is uniquely positioned to be one of the leaders when it comes to AI technology and adoption.
Fantastic. I couldn't agree more. And again, it's also unique to see, a country where government and public sector maybe leaps ahead in private sector in concrete steps. I mean, not just strategies, which are important, but also taking concrete action in the adoption, in the hiring, in the talent agenda, and many steps. What are some of the examples that you've seen in public sector that stood out for you in terms of taking some steps that you think are happening today that are shaping potentially the future of where we're all going when it comes to AI, whether it's in adoption, whether it's in talent, whether it's in experimentation, any of these angles that you discussed specifically on public sector, which I know is a focus area for you?
So in terms of talent and talent development, this goes without saying. Thinking of examples without revealing, and because client confidentiality is quite key for us. Perhaps, I'll give you an example. For example, leveraging large language modules, which some of the AI tools have been built upon, is that how you can use that in a way that helps getting certain pieces of knowledge that is required for the decision makers to make a certain decision. So usually the replacing the conventional search, which requires large number of team members doing a certain search in different languages, and then summarizing all of this in a form of a report. Now the AI is capable of doing that. That's one thing. The other thing is what we have created is more of a dashboard. So, and this dashboard takes place on different layers of languages, as in like, English, Arabic, French, Mandarin, Spanish, did I say Spanish? And then the other layers, like, different kind of news outlets and social media. So what this helps the client with, like through this dashboard, if I'm having delegates or I'm visiting delegates in another country, this actually helps me to know whom exactly I'm meeting with. And usually this brief used to be prepared by different team members.
Yes.
And depending on the time they were given and how deep they can get, this could be quite a large task. But now leveraging AI, this can be done quite quickly for the client. I gave the example of food security. Another example that I can think of right now is when you have a large data set that you want to analyze. Again, basically using AI for data cleansing, data structuring, taking, I would say, a huge amount of unstructured data in order to help the client with having a better understanding of what has happened in the past, but also without looking if there is any leakages in the current setup and try to plug those leakages.
Yes.
And usually if you do this, I mean, this is something that could have been done using conventional tools, but would have taken much longer without using AI. Another example I gave, for example, using AI in the acquisition of new customers, or growing the revenue per customer, or also reducing the cost per customer. So I would say that AI and analytics provides such versatile tools, and you just need to say, okay, this is the challenges I have. Can AI help me with this? There's a big chance the answer is yes.
Yes.
And when that, what's the best way to deploying the solutions? In many of the cases, they are not off-the-shelf solutions, so it requires a bit of tweaking. And you're a technology person yourself, and sometimes you go from an AI machine that has been developed on the programmed logics versus using machine learning where the AI teaches itself, or sometimes a combination of both. Decision makers don't care about what happens under the hood. I have this problem. Is the tool helping me solving this? What's the impact?
No, I agree. And again, if I just building on what you said, if I zoom out myself and really think of where do I personally want AI to head, right? And I'm thinking of myself as not just as a professional, even as a father, as someone who has young kids. And for me, of course, I use generative AI, from the most simple and common ChatGPT to more advanced tools, and I love the time it saves me, in my daily workflow. But for me, the holy grail, if you ask me, is how can you deploy AI to solve some of society's toughest challenges, right? Whether it's disease or climate change, food safety. These are, if you ask me, these are the things that I'd like technology in general and AI in particular to help us tackle. If I think of my children and the world I want them to inherit, that's where I think technology can have a positive impact. Do you think there's enough being done? I mean, you mentioned food safety as an example. Like, do you think, are we deploying AI? Because I know we're still in that cycle, right, where everybody wants to adopt. But are we really thinking enough of what are the most?
I think we are at infancy
Yes.
stage right now when it comes to solving society problems, and I know that we went through hypes of technology, but I believe that the current hype made tools where in the past were only accessible by tech powerhouses is now at people's
Democratize a bit more.
yeah, and no, it's just available. Like
Yes.
you're talking about kids using Gen AI tools, whether it's in schools or for fun or for simple tasks. So this is already happening. So is it enough? I would say we're still at an infancy phase. I think there is a lot that need to be deployed. We see, for example, AI is now getting deployed in cancer research or finding medicine, which historically means that you need to go, I would say, curate large number of research and try to make out of which actually could be humanly taxing. But now leveraging AI, you can there are lots of tools that currently exist, but also it comes to AI helping the education system, right? Whether the students, the educators, the schools and institutions, but also the policymakers. So I see how AI can help, but we still do I believe that AI can help? Definitely. Is AI or are the tools there? I would say not yet.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And again, along the same point, when you think of what are the skills that are going to be needed, right? Because look, there's so many debates about what will AI, what impact will AI have on all our jobs. Maybe not in our generation. I think it's probably more acute and pronounced in the future generation. And there's so many different schools of thought, right? One school of thought is it's going to assist and help amplify human ingenuity, right, and human creativity. There's another more concerned school of thought that thinks it's going to potentially replace a lot of jobs that humans do today. Who knows where we're going to head? I believe it's going to be a tool and a platform to hopefully help amplify and assist and bring out the best, hopefully, of what we can do. But there's no debate, I think, that the skills are going to be different in the future, right? What are some of the skills that you look for now when you hire, where you promote leaders in this age that we're in? What do you think are some of the key important things?
I'll take a step back, Ihsan.
Yeah.
For example, you said two schools of thought. I think these two schools of thought are merged. So there will be certain jobs that will no longer will cease to exist because they're no longer required. And if you look at throughout history, the different industrial revolutions, every time there is the emergence of technology, means that certain jobs will no longer be there. However, there are, with every single phase of that time, there were more jobs created which are higher in productivity and has better utilization of the human capabilities.
Yeah.
Right? And right now, for example, there was a time when if a person wants to develop a video game, means that this person, on one side, he needs to write large number of lines of code, and at the same time being able to use graphic design tools to create the scenes where the game's actually taking place. Right now, AI helps game developers to develop the entire game without writing a line of code. And there are so many engines using Gen AI, we actually can set up or map an entire scene without actually having a basic, I would say, there's like an advanced skills of designing this. So I think when it comes to the skill set moving forward, I think it will be key to understand on what can be replaced with AI and move away with that, right? I recall meeting a professor about a decade ago, and he said the most important skill set is the ability to learn new things. And I think we as human being is that, critical thinking, structured problem solving, emotional intelligence, all of that, and with the foundation, the ability to learn new things. And the faster you are at adapting, the better you are as an employee, candidate, entrepreneur.
Yeah, no, fully relate to that. I think learning how to learn and really having that growth mindset and like, resilience, and fully agree. And again, in the context of us at work, but even the young generation growing up, how do we really instill that love for learning and adaptability, right? Because it's changing. I think the pace is really outpacing anything that we've seen before it, which is quite interesting. Switching gears a little bit, Adel, to the other, I think, considerations when adopting technology in general and AI in particular, which is broadly the both the ethical considerations, but also policy considerations, whether it's data sovereignty, data residency, security, all these things that I think governments care about, but also the ethical aspect of where should we be, where do we draw the line, what are some of the things that we really need to navigate. Any thoughts on this? I know, again, we've seen this journey with cloud adoption, for example, where the country had a very methodical approach to adopting the cloud, where they required providers to have local presence, beyond local presence, to achieve certain guardrails and certain requirements that the country required. How do you see this evolving?
This, I mean, just like any other technology, this continue to be addressed among policymakers. I think data sovereignty is one of the key elements that will continue to be there. But I think it's interesting. It's a policy issue, but it's interesting to see how these policy issues are shaping how the technology companies are working around it. So you find, for example, more and more companies that develop an AI tool that's allowed to be installed on premise, which caters to the data localizations requirements, having things on premise, leveraging only the client's own infrastructure. So I see how the policy on one side is set by the government, but the private sector is adapting towards it, coming up with the right solution. So this is on one side. I think sometimes having such constraints actually pushes the private sector to become even more creative and come up with more innovative solutions.
Yeah, no doubt. And and back to your earlier point around risk-taking and experimentation, I've seen a bit more appetite as well for adopting, certain technology, of course, within the parameters of what's allowed and what's governed, but being a bit more forward and adopting things. And you're right. I think because of the opportunity in the country, it's pushing even very large players to take steps that we haven't seen them take in other markets, right? Yeah. Whether it's accelerating their local investments, accelerating local infrastructure investment, making really strategic bets on the country. So look, Adel, we covered a lot of ground so far. It's really been interesting. We spoke about trends. We spoke about public sector. We spoke about talent, policy, multiple things. I have a few more maybe topics to touch on. The first would be maybe on public sector specifically. What are some of the key challenges that you see in public sector in particular, in terms of adoption of AI and really like leading the way when it comes to AI?
I think one of the challenges is the availability of sandboxes, right? Okay. Having that regulatory framework that allows you for test, especially when it goes towards the area of health and education, it becomes a bit more challenging. The other challenge is having the right mindset when it comes to risk and reward. As I said, we're quite blessed here, but again, it still continues to be a challenge, because sometimes it's too much it's too big of a risk, and the willingness to tackle it using something that's quite novel, could be sometimes the entity may not have the appetite. One of the biggest challenges I found when it comes to AI, at least here in the region, is I would like to see more locally grown products and champions. So rather than importing or adopting what's being developed somewhere else, and this is going to solve so many problems, right? Having the data sovereignty or being something local, and this will have the right base to export what we're doing to the world. I think one of the challenges that's still there, we are doing a lot as a country in terms of building the local talent and attracting foreign talent, but I think we still are not there yet in terms of having the size, I would say, like the critical mass to be said, like, okay, we have this number of professionals that actually can help. And this usually gets translated by the amount of research that has been produced, the amount of starts that have been created, the amount of companies that are fundraising. So I think these are the challenges, but the opportunities are massive.
I agree. Where do we go from here, Adel? I mean, I know the country has always had was very intentional at multiple levels, from the leadership, to multiple levels on preparing the nation for the next phase or the next era, for the future. It's, I think, always been something that the UAE is ahead of others and is known for. Where do we go from here? What's next, in your opinion?
I recall a saying by Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid. He said, being number one is not a static state. It's a constant race, because you if you want to be number one, and if you are in the first place, means that you need to continue pushing hard. I think we have the right mindset, and I think from here we need to we are, despite the achievements that we have made over the last couple of years, especially on the technology front, we're still not satisfied. I don't think as a nation we will ever be satisfied, because the moment we reach something, we already have our eyes on the next big thing. I think from here we maintain the same spirit. We know that we are in a race that will never end, and we aspire to be among the top countries when it comes to technology adoption. We continue building the talent. We continue channeling the investment. I think partnering is a big part of the formula, where certain large organizations come with other organizations, and this perhaps built on the conversation we had earlier. So it's I think we have all of the pieces of the puzzle in place, but most importantly, it's important to stay agile, because I remember a few years ago coding was an important skill to teach your kids, and now it's no longer that important. So I think being agile in terms of having the right education system curriculums, having the right investment thesis, having the right policies, so all of that need to make sure that we are not just keeping up, but sometimes I would say even ahead of the curve.
Yep, I agree. And in that same spirit, what's next for you personally as a leader, and for maybe your organization, Oliver Wyman?
So for Oliver Wyman, we have a large digital practice, and we have the AI digital practice. We actually, the head of the person who leading AI at Oliver Wyman globally is based in the UAE. And I'm personally tasked of building on growing our offering when it comes to technology and including AI in public sector. We see the potential of it, and it's massive. We see the need for it, and we have the right tools that are not only aspirational when it comes to what can be done, but also pragmatic and quite practical and rooted in reality when it comes to taking into account the client's capabilities and and resources.
Thank you very much, Adel. I think this has been a really fantastic conversation. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I'm sure our listeners and our viewers will. And look forward to hopefully having you again in the future.
Thank you very much, Ihsan.
Thank you. Thank God.